Hello from the Yarn Closet in Tucson, Arizona. Currently from the Yarn Closet in Tucson, Arizona. You can find me on Instagram as Yarn Closet AZ. AZ is the abbreviation for Arizona. And MawgeeKitty on Ravelry. There is still a Patreon blog, The Yarn Closet, over on Patreon. It's been a while. We have some news. Shh. And, oh my God, every single time. Here, I have to unplug from my phone because I'm waiting for a phone call. All right, outside they go for their snack time. And this is hopefully a little practice that will be changed soon. That is part of the really exciting news. All right, Magnus, go on. Chip, chip, chip. Sadie, here you go. I know, you got a bad haircut. I just trimmed by her mouth, and it wasn't a very good job. Sorry, my thumb's in the way. Yes, I've done my best to not make it all crazy, light glary, but this is Arizona, and you know, it was 117 the other day. This is a knitting podcast, knitting, crochet, loom knitting, knitting machine, and what to do with a sock tube. However, here's the big news. I don't have a sock machine anymore. I sold my sock machine, and the reality is that the gauge that it works at, it was just too fine of a gauge for me to really really manage and do some of the intricate things that I could do, like patterns in the socks and stuff. So I cranked some tubes and sold it off, and I'm happy that it's going to go to somebody who will hopefully use it. I found a second flat knitting machine. They're called an LK150. It's about a 6.5 millimeter gauge. It can work, because of the different tension scenario, you have double gauge and tension knobs. You can work anything from a fingering weight, although it works better in the middle range of tensions and stuff, but you can work fingering weight all the way to like a heavy worsted. So I've found that far more useful for me, and some of you may recognize this. So I cranked, this is not a seam, this is actually just a seam from folding. I cranked the two middle, here, does it look better this way? The two middle patterns, or panels, the two rectangular panels. I did them on the knitting machine. Okay. Then I tried doing sleeves on the knitting machine. I need to practice a little bit. I ended up putting my knitting machines away. So I ended up hand crocheting these sleeves. I think the gauge matches pretty well. I think that the way in which I did the decreases is kind of ridiculous when you look at it like this. However, when you wear it, it's just fine. And so for me, it was very easy to do it this way. And like I said, when I'm wearing it, you can't really, it doesn't look wonky, it doesn't look weird. There is a bit of that, can you see? Anyway, they come to the elbow, their elbow sleeves, and I like it, and I like the way it fits, and there's no way in hammered hell that I'm going to put it on right now for you. I really like the way that one turned out. But like I said, I have put those machines away, and we will get to that fun and exciting news. I'm trying to intersperse the life news with knitting news. So let me get back to cranking tubes. These are big enough that I can use them to make slipper socks, double thick slipper socks. So if you ever get I just pulled this off my foot, deal with it, a tube and you don't know what to do with the extra, you measure your foot heel to toe. You then, where can you see this? Well, you then fold it flat. This is your heel. And you seam down this side, you gather your toes, and you have to really reinforce it. And then you seam it up here. You'll notice some yellow here because I didn't quite seam it far enough. It was kind of slipping off my foot, so I just did a few more stitches, and now it's tight enough that it just stays comfortably. It doesn't swish around. I really, really love them. I've already mended a couple of them because the tiles here and the fact that there's just this fine dust and grit, sand everywhere, has been very, very hard on them. But I have this pair to do, and this pair to do, and then this pair, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. These might be fingerless gloves for a certain small child. They might be for me. I don't know. They just might be something or nothing. And then I have a lady friend who, remember that old lady that I chased down in January on the street in my neighborhood? She requested some longer fingerless gloves. I made her a pair. Hers have a thumb in them, but it wasn't a very comfortable thumb. And so these, I made them the length, and this is just like folded over hemmed. And then this is just a little ribbing, and this was made with a sock tube. I thought I had some yarn where I could maybe put some thumbs in, but I really just don't see it. I'm still thinking about what I'm gonna do. Or I might just give them to her as they are. I don't know. This one's not quite as long. So we will see. It's such a challenge at times. And then look at this. This is how imperfect stuff can be when you're a blind lady. I absolutely thought that everything was the same. Look at how not the same these are. Do you see this? Not the same. Not the same amount of rows, not the same. So I might like pull back here and just seam it, and then have enough red to at least put some thumbs on here. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm debating on that. We will talk more about that debate in a moment. And then since I put my machines away and sold my knitting machine, I've been hand knitting some fingerless gloves with gusset thumbs. Gusset thumbs. Gusset thumbs. You know, you think it's difficult to begin with, but it's not. It's pretty easy, and once you do a few pairs, it's really easy. Now I can do a pair in 2 days with constant interruption. I even tried this pair, and I tried changing every row for my color change on my stripes, and I really had to pay attention to the yarn. It does make a difference in how it looks versus when I made the color change right at the corner and I wasn't paying attention to what color was going over what color. So basically you're going to want to wear them where that's kind of on the inside. I think these are valid also for people who want to wear a mitten over it. Short ones are valid, long ones are valid. I was just making what I was making because Dun, dun, dun. Yarn Closet will hopefully soon be recorded from somewhere else. I'm pretty sure everybody in the family knows at this point. We have a couple of minor things to tie up here. We are closing the end of this month on a house in St. David, Arizona, which is 45 minutes south. It's about 10 degrees cooler there. There's more humidity there. There's far less dust, so it's much better for my husband. The school system is much better. So when we deem it's time for my daughter to go back to school, she will go to a public school, and she'll be fine with it. My son will probably forever be homeschooled. However, he is looking forward to living in a smaller community. We have relatives out there, younger relatives out there, and so hopefully that means a little more involvement, a little bit more help as time progresses. See back to previous podcasts to know why that matters. And so we're giving up this house for a 1977 mobile home, ground set mobile home with a stick-built addition. So there's a lot more storage. The primary parts of the addition were a couple of large storage rooms, a bathroom, a laundry room, and then one extra large room that I'm going to have set up for this next school year as the homeschool zone, my yarn closet area, and then another area where we can do TV watching and hopefully have some kind of fold-out bed for Grandma and Grandpa. So we are really looking forward to that, because what that will allow, because of the way it's set up, as Dad needs more naps, kids and dogs can be in that back large room, and it's separated enough that we don't think sound will be an issue. There's a hospital right in the community. It's a relatively decent small town hospital, and it's on 1 acre with a bunch of old pecan trees, like 20 old pecan trees. So there's shade, and there's a few evergreens and some other trees, and so it doesn't feel as deserty. There's a few other farms on the road. It's a quiet road. There's very little, if any, crime in the community. My son is looking forward to having a smaller church to be able to go to with smaller Sunday school classes. My daughter's just excited about having outdoors that she can explore. We're talking chickens, garden, a small catio, and we're very excited. We're very excited, and our realtor is having a very difficult time understanding our motivation, because our motivation is not going up, bigger house, more money, etc. It's going down. This is actually less expensive, and he's having a real problem. It's been really challenging. We're trying to get the point across that our needs are to move in prior to the closing. It's been empty for a year. They didn't have it on the market that entire time. The people selling it, the gentleman have some health concerns, so they had to move into a different scenario. And it may or may not have a history of being rented at times, although it's pristine. It may be 1977, but it's clean. Brand new clean carpeting, clean, pretty well taken care of. And here's the deal. Who cares? Don't you always do stuff when you move into someplace? So I might paint a couple of cabinets more than I would otherwise. It'll give me something to do living out in the country in the midst of pandemic times. And it's literally 2 minutes from the school. It's about 11 minutes from the Safeway grocery store, so they still deliver. so I'll still be able to do delivery things. It's 5 minutes from, the nursery, and like 10 minutes from Walmart and hardware store and that kind of thing. So I think it's going to be just fine. I don't think, honestly, that because my kids weren't going to school this next year, I don't know that it's going to feel all that different to me. I knew that for this upcoming year, I would have little to no contact. I'm legally blind. I don't drive. I'm therefore housebound and have had few friends over the last dozen or so years. So what's the difference? I just think my kids will be able to, because of the relatives out there that are younger relatives and more kids their own age, I think that things are going to work better for them. And I'm not really worried. I'm kind of used to it, and I have you guys. And so that's the deal. Hopefully we will get some paperwork, the last, tailings of the paperwork figured out this week and be able to start to move in. I was able to postpone the kids' school start date, so hopefully we can get moved in before they start. That would certainly help the anxiety levels. And my husband starts his hunting mentality the end of August. And he really does want to do some of these outdoor things with my kids, like the garden and the chickens, because he grew up out there in a similar scenario, and he wants them to have that experience. And so the sooner we can get in, the better, that little bit more time that he can have to focus on that before his mind is taken and his time is taken to other things and his energy. I'm apprehensive because I know that there's going to be a lot for me to juggle. I'm excited at the same time. The trees have me just in love. I love trees. I love shade. And the safety of the long street that we live on, it's paved, but it's in the country, and it's dead end, so I can go on more walks, which I really like, but I find hard to do here due to the coyotes, the javelinas, that would be a wild pig, due to the homeless people. They're just everywhere in Tucson. You can't get away from them. And they're not bad, but because of my eyesight, I have a harder time gauging, is this person safe? Is this, seeing the cues that you might see if maybe the person is a drug user or something that makes them a little more questionable, like how they're going to react to you. If that makes me sound bad, I'm sorry, but safety is an issue in life. Can you go let Chip in, please?
Yes.
Thank you. And...
You pass my pen.
Okay.
I said pass.
Chip and Magnus, if he's there. And so that's why you haven't heard much from us. We kind of thought we'd already be in. Like I said, people don't understand our motivation. It's a little bit different. Our bottom line is a little different. But hopefully the next podcast will be in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and school will be started, and we'll be in a different place, and I'll be able to give you a tour and take you along for the ride. I wanted to make sure that when I did do that it was positive. Because, these kind of things are emotional. And people are already emotional in this day and age with everything that's going on right now. So, I hope you have found joy in the little bits that you are knitting, because I know a lot of us, our mojo is coming and going. The yarn that I did hold out to work from, I didn't think I'd be working this long. So I've picked up, this is a wool yarn. It's Okay, it's either wool or it's cot linen. Part of me now thinks it's cot linen, and that's why it doesn't feel right to me. Because I have a wool yarn and a cot linen from Knit Picks that are about the same color. Oh my gosh, now I get it. So I'm going to look for the other wool one, and I'm going to mix it with my little bit of this that's left over. This is Tabby, which is a color by Amy Florence of Stranded Dye Works. She's in Scotland. That's why this doesn't feel right, because it's cot linen. Okay, well, one of my dishcloths is dying, so I guess this is going to turn into a dishcloth. Well, that's lovely. Now I'm more motivated. And that's what I'm doing in my yarning world these days. Just the little bits that I can. I'm now napping every day with my daughter, which is, I think, good for everybody. And our life is just kind of like everybody else's. We're just chugging along through the summer. It's been a heat wave. It's been crazy. We've been blessed and lucky, and my mom is doing fine. My dads are doing fine. We're about 10 minutes to nap time. Somebody that you just, yeah, that one, did my eyes just go more crossed? He needed to just learn to be quiet. He talks too much. So, look with your heart first. Thanks.